Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures. It's been a while, but I am determined to fight my way through some more of this scenery backlog that I've got. And today we've got another fun piece from Tabletop Combat in part of their Streets of Venice line of their Tabletop Scenics, and that is the Palazzo Lucia, which is actually pretty cool. So you've got like this whole little covered walkway, hallway on the bottom, and then you've got like a whole open patio terrace area on the top. So looks like a very interesting and unique design, which I don't mind. I like that, and I have a ton of these things built. Maybe someday we'll even get them painted. Ooh. So if you're not aware, you do need to go online. They do have all of the directions available on the website. And if you've never built any of these MDF buildings, let me warn you that you're going to need some paper towels to give this stuff a good, thorough cleaning. So you always have these nice little decorative bits here. And then what are we looking at? 6 frames? Okay. That's a good amount of frames. I gotta say, I really enjoy these things. The MDF buildings. If you guys have any recommendations for other brands that you would like to see me take a look at, by all means, put them down there in the comments below. I always like just the intricacy of how they carve these. So, looks like it's going to have a pretty decent sized floor plan, if that's anything to go by. That is the actual, I don't know if that's the base or the second floor. That might be the second floor. That might be the floor. Okay. Well, like eventually we'll find it. Good Roman to hang out in the hallway there. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go together, to be honest. So give me a moment. I'm going to grab some paper towels, because look at that. That's definitely going to need some cleaning. And we will get this all built up and see how it turns out.
All right. Well, now in what is officially the longest time span between when I start a model and when I finish something, we bring to you the finished palazzo. And I have no excuse or explanation for what took me so long. Literally, I started this thing before the pandemic started. And here we are, how many years later? Yeah, I have no explanation. Part of it was actually, I was building this at work, and then we had the first official lockdown, and so it was stuck at work, and then eventually I brought it home and it sat there, and then I brought it back to work when we went back to work, and then it sat there, and then finally, for whatever reason, the summer hit and I decided it's time, it needs to get done. So the first thing, I love this little patio balcony area. I mean, you can fit, obviously none of these models go together, but that's okay. But there's plenty of space to actually have models sitting there interacting if you're going to play a game. Especially with line of sight, I think it presents some unique opportunities, especially when you get it all crammed in. If you have access to a lot of the other tabletop combat buildings, I think just the interesting geometry of how these buildings go together is really going to make for some fun stuff. And as always, I don't know if I can take the back off of this one. I don't think I can. I glued it on top. Well, you can always take the roof off at least. So if you want to have people inside, you have a section right here. I'm going to just take that all off, and hopefully you can see it without knocking everybody over. No, that's okay. There's that hole there. That's supposed to signify where the staircase would exist if I had one in there. You can also remove the front if you want to have people hanging out. And I mean, this guy's a big dude. He's on a 40mm base, and he's quite tall as well. Almost as tall as a Terminator. Okay, well, you've got the missile rack on top. That's not going to help. Haha! Okay, I can fit one of my Atlan Forge Terminator shark dudes inside there. And again, you have some nice line of sight blockage with those archways there. if you're having models coming up and trying to take pot shots at each other. So I think that presents some interesting ideas. If you wanted to pop out those windows, I'm afraid to, because then they're gonna, you know, fall out. But you could use those absolutely for line of sight blockage as well. And if you want to get models inside, you can remove the whole back section here. And again, fill it with models. That's actually a fun way to hide and transport stuff. And there's a little bit of engraving down there on the floor as well, which is kind of nice. So, like I've said, if honestly and truly, I know the MDF stuff is pricey just due to shipping. Shipping sucks no matter where you are in the world. But I absolutely adore these buildings from Tabletop Combat. I think, you know, there are a few places that seem to carry and distribute them in the US at least, so you might want to keep an eye out for those. Whether they have these specific models from the Streets of Venice line, I'm not 100% sure. Here, grabbing two of the other buildings that I actually have handy that are actually in one piece right now rather than sectioned off in storage in little, you know, mini compartments. Like I said, I think you have these kinds of buildings all spread out on the table, you're going to have all kinds of fun line of sight blockage issues just with the, you know, the archways, the various levels. And I mean, never mind actually using it in official games of Carnevale, because, you know, that would be heresy, wouldn't it? But I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this stuff, especially, like I said, if you have access to a bunch of these buildings, it's going to become a very unique and interesting looking tabletop. And hopefully someday, considering how long it took me to finish building these, hopefully someday I'll actually get around to doing some sort of a painting job on them. But I kind of like the look of how they are, especially with the alternating colors of the little accent pieces on these. I think that's a fun little touch. So even if you do leave it boring and brown in its woodenness, at least there's something to help, you know, pick up the color. And, you know, honestly, I think with the models on there, it's going to help, you know, keep the focus on the figures rather than on the buildings. But I know some of you are really nice scenery painters, which I am not, unfortunately. I will have a link down below if you want to take a look at Tabletop Combat's site. They've got all sorts of various themed scenery, and I gotta say, they also have a lot of bundles and sets that do give you a lot of bang for your buck. So if you like the look of any of these buildings, do take a look. They're really nice. Hopefully they will have a good deal going for you, and it will be able to get you to you shipped at a reasonable price. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.